Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Devil's Theatre. Obviously, as always, we've got plenty to talk about, plenty dramas going on at Manchester United. But let's start, I think, from the where we kind of last picked up from. Obviously, the last time we spoke was after the Liverpool game, and since
Yeah,
then,
Liverpool draw.
yeah, and obviously since then we played Arsenal, we played obviously Southampton yesterday. But yeah, let's start. Obviously, like I said, there's so much going on. There's those two games. There's obviously the transfers, the likes of Napoli, the likes of Chelsea coming in,
There's the task
and
force.
yeah, I would say today. Obviously, we had the regenerational task force giving their recommendations. We've got the INEOS Grenadiers, is it? Or has got the cycling team, whereby now
I thought
INEOS.
the Grenadier was a car.
I think that's the car, but I think they do call it their team. But anyway, the INEOS cycling team, whatever it is, they're now being underfunded and they're performing, or they're underperforming, and now they want to underspend. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So yeah, let's start from the Arsenal game, man. Feelings?
Um, I mean, I was positive heading into that. I remember saying we were going to beat them 2-1. You didn't have a positive bone in your body that day.
No.
And then we played them, and I was like, whoa. In a way, it was exactly as I said. Like, they were blunt going forward. And it was just... The one thing I didn't expect was Altay Bayindia to start, for one. And what a performance that kid had. Like, I'm going to steal a quote now from Arsenal Fan TV back in the days, but
Oh,
he could have saved
bloody
the
hell.
Titanic. Do you know, he was that good. Like, that was... I was watching that, and people were comparing him to that Rusty Wreckburn and all that. Nah, that's the hair. That's the hair at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Like,
That
it
time
was...
when he's Well, let's use that. I think it's that performance was the reincarnation. I always remember that game. Ozil, Sanchez, they couldn't have
Yeah.
scored past him that game.
Aubameyang.
Aubameyang there, so yeah,
I think Santi was there at the time. Like, they had a star-studded 11.
yeah. It was a great performance. I remember that one. But yeah, so we played well. We was doing well. Then we score, and Bruno with a great goal.
Oh, what a
Great goal.
finish.
You
And
know,
you know what? What as well, like, a lot of people say, oh, Garnacho's immature, Garnacho's this, Garnacho... the maturity and the intelligence to play that pass.
Yeah, obviously he's definitely got that in him. He's a good player. So that was that, and then you also then had the sending off. Obviously Diallo. I think it was around the 60th minute. I think it was something like that. In the second half, and after that, I just thought, oh my god, here we go. We're just gonna get battered now. We're gonna get knocked out. Germany. So it was 1-0. Obviously, they get was it off the corner? Was it off the corner that scored?
Wasn't... I think it was, but it was like... It wasn't direct from the set piece, if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Like, Southampton's the other night was direct from the set piece. This
But this
one
one
wasn't.
wasn't. Yeah. But then they scored and you think, oh god, here we go. Like, do you know what I mean? Here it goes. Then obviously after the score, what 3-4 minutes later, they get a penalty.
That
Um,
was...
that was just shocking.
That was
How
tense.
he's not gone into hospital after that challenge from Maguire. Um,
I know.
and then
Best wishes with him, yeah.
yeah, and I think, and that's it. Then that's where the Atal Bandia show kind of started. Then, do you know what I mean? He saves that penalty. What a performance! And you know what? I think the biggest compliment I can pay our boys is it didn't look like we were down to 10 men. It wasn't like we were, hanging on for dear life. And we was really struggling, and you just thought, you know what, any minute we're going to concede a goal now. It was actually, you know what, we're playing quite well here, in the
You
circumstances.
said it, and you said these players care, these
Yeah,
coaches care, and it showed. Look, The red card is the red card. People are going to argue all day long, but look, in this day and age with VAR and with the amount of cameras and the amount of scrutiny and the amount of rule changes we have every season, you cannot give the referee a decision like that to make.
Well, that's the ironic thing. Unfortunately, didn't have VAR because I think if they had VAR, they would have showed he did get a touch of the ball.
Like, do you know what I mean? You can't put that element of doubt in the referee's. Look,
Yeah, yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough. It wasn't
You
a
get
red,
caught up
but
in the emotion sometimes
yeah,
as well. Do
it
you know what I
is
mean?
what it
You're
is.
on one.
And
Yeah.
but the best thing for me was we had goals galore. We had great football. We had a great goalkeeper. We had a couple of scraps.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
just
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
this is old school Arsenal Man United, man.
Yeah,
This is
yeah, yeah.
Fergie Wenger. This is hands getting thrown in the tunnel. Someone, if Cesc Fabregas is going to launch a
Pizzas.
pizza slice, and
Uh,
allegedly Cesc Fabregas, we don't.
and I think it
Oh,
was confirmed in the end. I think he did. I
has
think
it
he
been
did
confirmed
say,
now?
yeah, yeah. I think he has.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
fair
yeah, yeah.
enough. But like, it was bringing back them moments and their memories. And then I sit there and I think, what have these two teams become? From 20-time Premier League champions to Premier League invincibles to this. What a fall from grace for both sides. I'm going to include Arsenal in that because what are they on, like their 6th or 7th or 5th or whatever rebuild? And
Mm.
Arteta still hasn't won the league. No, it's sad to see where we've fallen, bro.
Yeah,
But it's
and
good that we had that passion. The play, like you said, the players care, and they showed it.
yeah, yeah, and I said, and I think we've said this numerous times. I think the final whistle absolutely fantastic for you know Xerxes to score.
Yeah,
The penalty steps up. Whether Amrim's told him or whether he's took the board himself, says, "Look, I want to take the fifth and final penalty." Either way, fantastic for him to do it and score. And like I said, you can just see the celebrations in the end. The way you don't fight like that if you don't care. No, like I said, it kind of it can because it's a new manager and everybody's up for a little bit, and then after we'll see. But
one
it's
thing I did notice late on in the game. This is, I think, going into extra time. Towards the end, people were saying Leacher picked up a bit of a knock, or he wasn't moving quite right, or whatever it was. And to combat that, Amarin apparently put Leacher up front,
right.
so he had to
Yeah, yeah,
run
he did.
less.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
And I
did.
was
I remember
like,
that.
little things like that, just it makes all the difference. Because look, whatever you want to say about his form, his performances, he's still one of our best centre backs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
you're gonna need him in a game like this.
a lot of people, excuse me, they kind of, question him, what he brings and what he does. Obviously, I never have because I know what the guy's like. But again, I just put it down to you become what your environment is. Do you know what I mean? You become a victim of your environment. But look, moving on. Excuse me. Obviously, yesterday's game. I mean, we had the Liverpool game, obviously, where we played really well.
Yeah.
You could say we should have won.
Was it
The
after
game,
that game Bruno said what we need to, like, something about why can't we do this every week or
yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. But
Or was it
Bruno
after
said it.
Arsenal?
No, no, after Liverpool, Bruno had
Okay.
said it. Leach had said it. That was the game whereby obviously Amarim was a bit pissed off. He was like, I'm not happy." We all kind of knew what he meant. Basically saying, if you can do this against Liverpool, then top team in the league at the moment, why can't you do this against the other teams? And
Yeah.
then, I think a lot. I know I was saying it. I was like, you know what? Maybe let's see. Let's see against Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And we played well against Arsenal. Obviously I had my doubts, but before that, I was kind of saying, you know what? The Arsenal and Liverpool games are the easy games for us. Do you know what I mean? It's the games against the likes of Southampton. Now, yesterday, I don't think we played. Okay, we played 95 minutes. I think it was in the end. I think it was literally the last 20 minutes of the game, from 77th minute onwards till extra
Yeah.
time.
Maybe. Yeah.
Um,
About that.
yeah, we looked. So that's including extra time as well. So that we only looked kind of half decent. Up until that point, we were shocking.
I thought
Um,
we were. I thought we were terrible. I was sat there watching it, and I was like, so everything that got said last week about we can do this against the big teams, we need to now show we can do this against the smaller teams. And I thought they're not doing it. They're saying it, but they're not doing it. And like I said last week, if they're gonna say it, they need to know that they will be held accountable for that because they've come out publicly and said that now.
yeah, and I think they kind of shot themselves in the
But
foot.
yeah, they shot themselves in the foot. But one man proved it. One man showed he was going to do it regardless of the opposition. And what a man.
Would you say what I'm mad?
What a madman.
What I'm mad? You know what I mean?
What just bro, I'm in awe.
Look, he obviously played fantastic, and what is it? It's the first hat trick a United player scored a hat trick since Ronaldo in 2002, I think
I don't,
something.
you know what?
No, not 2002.
Yeah, 2022.
Is it 2022
Yeah,
Ronaldo
but
when he
I
was
don't
second
care
ever?
about. Look, a hat trick's great and all, but I don't care about records like that. I
Yeah,
just want to win games. I want to win trophies. Score 1 or
yeah.
score 5, I don't care. But look, last night we made it harder than it should have been. It did not feel like a 3-1 win. It definitely didn't feel like we got a guy who scored a hat trick. But it's just
And you know what? And you know what it reminded me of?
go on.
I don't know how and when it did. I was like, Amarim reminds me of a certain manager that we had before. A guy who's gone over to Turkey.
I was gonna say, has he just signed for Besiktas?
He's gone over to Turkey, yeah, Besiktas.
Individual brilliance, individual moments.
Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think the amount of times we beat Man City or we didn't really lose to them, and we played so well, especially the away games.
Yeah,
So against
Bruno
the top six,
Fernandes, Jesse Lingard, Dan James.
so top six, we was always brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
it was never a problem. So it was the quote unquote lesser teams that we struggled against. You know, we kind of struggled to put a pass together. But when we would win literally off an individual brilliance. Hence comes in Amad yesterday. Individual brilliance. You know, it wasn't like it was a fantastic piece
The
of.
formation's starting to worry me.
Mm,
It could be the players, and I don't buy this. Oh, the players are crap, sell them. Because they wouldn't be at that club. Well, I mean, look, we've had some idiots run this football club, but no one watching this, no one subscribed to us, no one in any other channel, in any other work of life can say they're a better footballer than Harry Maguire. They're a better footballer than Johnny Evans or Christian Eriksen or Casemiro or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Unless you're Ronaldo or Messi or someone like that, you can't say them things. So the common fan saying that, it doesn't mean jack. And
no, I think the best way to kind of describe it is because I think somebody I tweeted something and somebody messaged back to me. I don't know whether it was Marcus Rashford or something. It's say he's been stinking at the place or he's not being good. He needs to leave, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I think what I replied was, well, think about it. There are players that leave this club who go on and do well.
yeah,
You know, even look at De Gea at Fiorentina, McTominay. You had the likes of Chris Smalling in Italy, Matteo Darmian, people always forget about him. You've got other examples where even Jadon Sancho's having a decent spell down London, where, like I always say, I don't think he even had one complete good game for us. That's counting all the games he played with us. I'm not too sure if he had a whole 90 minutes where he played well for us, but at Chelsea, he kind of done that quite ASAP. Like, do you know what I mean? So there's players that leave this place and go and do well.
Wan-Bissaka seems to be performing.
Yeah. I think they're are they above us now, or we just below them? I can't remember.
I think we're
above
just
them
below.
now. We're just below them. Yeah. So he could argue that he's gone on to do better. But what we can always say.
Oh no, we're above them.
We're just above by a point, I think, maybe.
Goal
Or goal
difference.
difference. Goal difference, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what we can certainly say is the players that come in, like I've kind of mentioned before, we've had around about 50 players come in to this club, and one definitely, which is Bruno, and maybe two, Zlatan, who's done well. So no, I'm not going to count any of the boys that have come in, because that first season of Eric Ten Hag, we could have counted a lot of the players who were brilliant. Like, do you know what I mean? But
Casemiro was world class in that first season.
yeah, Leach, and even Anthony was playing well. I remember those
Mm,
performances again. No, I remember those performances against Barcelona. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
He played
true.
well.
Barcelona,
Coming
Arsenal.
forward and the first his game Arsenal. So look, he played well as well. Do you know what I mean? And obviously Marcus Rashford. So I always say, you're gonna give it time, and then you get to know how the players play. So over a stretch of if you've been at the club for at least 2 seasons or more, out of those players, only Bruno you can say has had any kind of consistency, and maybe Zlatan, because I think Zlatan brought something else along with him as well. Like, do you know what I mean? He brought that aura, so he wasn't probably the quintessential Zlatan on the field, but he brought that something about him. So again, going back to, you can't be every player that comes here is rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And then when they leave, they're great, or they do well. You got to look at,
The
it's got to
common
be more than that.
denominator is Manchester United and everything.
Manchester United and all the other things. No, so you're going to look at that. But you know what? I think that moving on from there, again, we talk about players, and I think we just touched upon Rashford. Yeah, I think there was reports he was looking to go to AC Milan, but that looks like it's not going to happen.
Bro, there's AC Milan, there's Napoli, there's Borussia Dortmund.
But the AC Milan one doesn't seem like it's going to happen, because they're saying they're now going for Kyle Walker, which actually I'm surprised with. Kyle Walker's going there, because I thought he's probably going to go to Saudi for a payday because of all those kids and that.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? But he looks like he's going to AC Milan. So where that leaves Marcus Rashford, I'm not too sure. But obviously there was the reports that
Who do you think gets paid more, Walker or Rashford?
currently,
Yeah.
I think officially it'll be Rashford, but I think under the books, Manchester City doing what Manchester City do, it probably will be Kyle Walker. But yeah, and obviously since there's been links about, obviously even Garnacho looks like it could be leaving as well. There's a strong possibility. Napoli being credited. Looks like
Chelsea were linked.
and Chelsea were linked today. I've seen obviously Ornstein and kind of revealed that there as well. But there was also obviously talk earlier on in the week, or was it last week? I can't remember now, where it was almost like every player at the club is up for sale.
Yes, let's get into that, because when that brief, obviously, I mean, we spoke about it anyway.
Yeah.
I think, have we spoke about it on here?
I can't remember, I think we kind of touched upon it.
We
But
might have done, but yeah, that would have been something we would have spoke about. But look, all these briefs that have come out, all these rumors, all this are, I mean, someone credited that Italian journalist, I forget his name, Alfredo or Alfonso or something. Please forgive me if I get his name wrong, but someone credited him saying, "Oh, Napoli have done a deal for 70," and he replied saying, "Fake, I never said that."
yeah.
So and then straight away that guy's got, all them ITKs, all them in the know accounts, and then deleting tweets because he's come out and corrected them. And it's just like all of this could have been avoided had Manchester United, and specifically INEOS, kept their mouths shut.
Yeah.
Look, we're a PLC. Everything gets reported to the shareholders. Everything gets filed on the SEC. Our accounts are publicly on Companies House for those in the UK, and the Gibraltar version of Gibraltar, not Gibraltar.
Cayman Islands, isn't it?
Yes, that's the one. Cayman Islands version of Companies House, and the US, whatever the US call it. You can view everything about Manchester United at any given time. We don't need to sit there look, the reporters are going to write what they're going to write, whether you open your mouth or not. On the flip side, in East Manchester, we've got 3 here we goes this week.
Yeah.
Egyptian striker who's had one good season. Fair enough, he looks decent. Some Kazakhstani kid who's apparently going to be the first Kazakhstani to ever represent the nation in the Premier League. So congratulations to him. But again, nobody heard of him until Man City put a bid in, bit like Lenny Yoro. And then you've got the Brazilian centre back, and apparently they've been linked with a fourth guy.
Yeah.
Not a whiff of that in the press. Yes, it doesn't get as much clicks or much attention, but look at how they operate.
Yeah, I think there is that, obviously they're nowhere near as obviously newsworthy compared to ourselves. But I've seen somebody kind of compare it to Amazon Prime, Man City. Next day delivery or till June. There's never like a, in between. Is it?
Who's got a flipping Amazon Prime that's delivered in June?
No, but
What the hell
sometimes
have they ordered?
no. But sometimes you go on Amazon Prime. Sometimes you can get some products the next day, and then some are like really 2-3 months because it's not whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Wherever it's shipped from and things like that.
Fair enough. I've
I think that's
never
what
had
the
that problem. So, are you there? I think Harps might have frozen.
Oh, sorry, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
All right.
So it's either the next day or it's like, way in the future kind of thing. But yeah, look, City, we know the slick operators, obviously. Even with City, the latest news, Erling Haaland,
The
9.5 year
150
deal.
contract.
Yeah, 9.5 year deal. Obviously, I've not really looked into it. Not really I don't really care in that respect. But I think with the signings, with the Erling Haaland extension as well, I think there's two ways of looking at it. One is it looks like City are confident whatever ruling is going to happen with the Premier League, it's going to be a bit like a slap on the hand.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they don't make signings this January. They don't go. I mean, they've not gone big, but they're spending a lot of money.
Mm.
To me, they don't do that if they're not confident about the court case, because they've
Yeah.
kept their noses clean for the last year and a half.
Mm.
In terms of Mahrez and Alvarez, where they lost some big hitters and replaced them with nobodies. Now they seem to be gearing back up and
Splashing the cash a little bit. Or it's the other side of it is that, yeah, they kind of know something's going to happen. So it's not going to be the case of they're going to get a points deduction or could be a fine and maybe a year or two's ban on transfers. So they're stockpiling now,
planning
whilst they
ahead.
can, whilst they can to get those players in. So yeah, we obviously, I think it's in March. I think people are talking about that's going to happen. So we don't really know what's going to happen then. But again, bringing it back to Manchester United, we're on the 17th of January. We've literally got 2 weeks. 31st January is on a Friday.
Yeah, 2 weeks today, deadline day.
We've not really had a whiff of anybody coming in. Obviously, we've heard a lot about players going out. I think the closest thing we'd ever heard was, I think it was Kolo Muani, but he seems to be going
He's
to.
gone, I think. Juve.
Is it Juventus, isn't it?
I think
So
he's
yeah,
done. Yeah.
yeah. So there's nothing happening on that aspect, which isn't a surprise. So this whole, what? Talking about that, we've got this whole thing. I think even in midweek as well, it was kind of reported the Premiership clubs will know whether they're going to be done for PSR or not.
And
And
every single club passed.
every club, passed, and I think we kind of passed. Whether it was a couple of million or it was comfortably passed, we passed. And I think that the thing that pisses me off is a little bit more is that INEOS have been using the PSR as an excuse to say we've got no money, we've got to cut ties. I mean, we've got to stop spending money on charity. We've got to make people redundant. Excuse me. And it's just rumours. I think they've pointed out, all these players are up for sale. Nobody's not for sale because of all this PSR rubbish, and everybody goes through with flying colours. Do you know what I mean?
Look, everyone says that PSR's bullshit, this, that, the other. I personally believe PSR was created to hold the likes of Aston Villa, Newcastle United, Nottingham Forest, Everton, them clubs that were trying to break through that glass ceiling. I personally believe it was created in an attempt to hold them down.
Mm.
Because I think when Leicester won the Premier League, it sent shockwaves through the Big Six. And fair enough, they didn't defend the title, but it woke a lot of people up. It showed a lot of people what for. Apparently not on the red side of Manchester, because we didn't really change anything. But everyone else seemed to adapt. Now, PSR has got teeth. It's ruined Everton. They've got an ongoing arbitration case with Leicester. It did some damage to Forest. And now Everton, Tom Friedkin's, guess you could call him a saviour, paid off the debts, financing the stadium, no longer needs to sell Jared Branthwaite in order to get some cash flow. He's bringing in fan favourite David Moyes. So they're back on a, well, we'll have to see what happens at the weekend, but you'd assume they're back on a positive trajectory in terms of obviously the environment that the club is now in. The club's broke, as in Manchester United. The credit facility we could spend if we wanted to. Then we've got to repay it back. Whether that's Jim, John, Brian, Dave, whoever wants to repay it, one of them's got to repay it back. So I don't understand why PSR was always an excuse for us.
Yeah, I
But
just think, yeah, look, it's just a excuse. I believe. I think we've heard many reports. Like I said, even today, we've got the cycling reports, and we've even other journalists and other people have kind of reported how they work on their other businesses. That's what they do. They kind of cut spending. They try and streamline. They act as though a football club is a production line. Do you know what I mean? Where it's not. Obviously, it's clearly not. It's clearly not worked for any of their other clubs. It's not clearly worked for any of their other sporting ventures as well. Just obviously moving on today with the other news with the regeneration.
before we move on, quick
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
If you're Ruben Amorim and you said last night in that press conference that the brief conversation you had with Jim Ratcliffe was about transfers or whatever, how are you feeling seeing the reports today about Garnacho and things like that? Like, surely you've asked for reinforcements and the only things coming out in the press are, oh, well, this guy could be leaving. Like, it's a bit,
I think, excuse me, I don't know. I think that's probably the easiest way to explain it because, excuse me, though I don't think we're going to bring anybody in or a lot in. I just think the way how long it's taken is a bit of a mistake. We all knew. Let's use Rashford as an example. We all knew what was the scenario there. Yes, deals take a long time because every party wants the best deal. But again, what they did, they shot themselves in the foot by kind of announcing that they wanted rid of him. There was loads of reports happening, and then obviously Rashford said what he said, so everybody knew out there that United want him gone. So they're gonna lowball
and
United.
clearly he's looking to leave as well.
Yeah, so they're going to lowball United, and obviously United aren't going to want to be lowballed, but it's going to take that time. So hence here we are. Again, those whole reports of all of our players being up for sale doesn't help because again, everybody knows we're broke, and they're going to just say, right, okay, well we'll keep lowballing, and we're not desperate, so we'll wait to the end of the transfer window. We either get them then, or we'll wait to the summer when they're even more desperate. But we're the desperate ones, as we've said. The club have kind of announced it. So I feel sorry for Ruben Amorim because obviously he wants to play. All he cares about is results on the pitch. He doesn't care about all the other stuff. He just wants players. He'd rather have 30, 40 players rather than just 18 players. Because at least he gets a bit of a selection. And yeah, I think Ruben's speaking up a little bit more. Currently, it sounds like I won't say against, obviously, INEOS, but there's kind of conflicting things compared to what INEOS are briefing and what
There's a few indirect
Amrim's saying.
shots being thrown, isn't there?
Yeah, between what Amrim's saying and what obviously the club are briefing. So yeah, let's see how it is because he keeps playing Garnacho. He's playing, starting for the last two games as well.
He's
So
not put Rashford in the squad since, I don't think.
no, well, that one game against Arsenal, which he never, sorry,
He sat on the
Newcastle,
bench. Yeah, he
Newcastle.
sat on the bench.
Yeah, it's that meant so he never came on. So that's the only other game he's been involved in that matchday squad since the pre Man City game, whatever game that was, because it was from there onwards. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen. But yeah, as again, we were talking about the ownership and things like that. Obviously, news come out today. The regenerational task force.
Almost
Co-
like clockwork.
yeah, yeah, um, there was they've they've mentioned that you know they recommended that yeah the Old Trafford task force has completed its initial feasibility. A really developed Old Trafford, they're saying, could increase the capacity to 87,000, which I think we're saying is about 13,000 to from the current capacity.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and while a new build stadium could reach 100,000, the project aims to catalyze, is a catalyst for a wider regeneration in the area, which is all fantastic news. It all sounds great. The thing is, the club still haven't decided on whether it's going to be a new stadium or a renovated stadium. Though they have said, I think it's 52% of the fans that they surveyed prefer a new stadium.
That's
Um,
a lot closer than I thought it would have been, to be fair.
no, no, I think what it was, 52% had said a redevelopment. I think
Oh,
a
and then
rat,
some abstained, didn't they, and wanted more
yeah,
information.
I think it was 17% that kind of said no, they want to keep it, and the other 30 whatever percent it was kind of said they're not sure, they don't know, kind of thing. So, which is fair enough, but that 52%, either way you look at it, is the majority. Um, but yeah, you know, I'm not sure because I've asked the question. I get the side, obviously the Trafford, the council, and the Manchester Combined Authority, all that side of thing, all the things that are going to happen there, the council, the government will kind of pay for that, help pay for that. But it's the Man United side, obviously, I'm interested in. You know, we're looking at
Oh, this
we're
is.
looking at 2.5 to 3 billion probably. The way costs are going up, inflation. So using the same materials, etc. Whatever. You know, 5, 10 years ago may have cost a stadium rebuild around 1 billion. Well, now it
Well,
cost around two
Madrid
and a half to
Madrid
3 billion,
paid 1.5 billion for their revamp,
something like that.
and I found out today they're only about 80,000 capacity.
Yeah, yeah, something like that as well. They're
Barcelona
not.
paid, or are currently paying, or whatever the deal is with Barcelona, no one knows anymore,
Mhm.
around 2 billion, and they're at
And
105,000.
and some. Yeah, I mean that stadium was quite big anyway, so they're just redevelopment. Whereas we'd
So
obviously, we'd start a new one. Look, 100,000 sounds fine to me. And again, it always annoys me when people say, "Oh, they don't want a new stadium because it's gonna take the soul out of the stadium." I
a
never,
building is bricks and mortar.
I never get that.
I never
You
get
know,
it. A building is bricks and mortar. The soul, the atmosphere that's created by those in the building.
yep.
Those legends that walk the halls of Old Trafford, they will walk the halls of the new stadium. Those that
Yeah,
aren't with us, sadly they can't. But the likes of Fergie, Rio, Keane, Neville, Ronaldo, Beckham, I'm sure they will all come to the new stadium at some point. And
no, but yeah, they'll come to it. But I suppose what people are saying that these legends have played on the Old Trafford pitch, the current pitch,
yeah,
and
but
that's
it's been
where
relayed 1,000 odd times. It's not the same
no,
pitch
no,
that Busby played
that,
on. Do you
no,
know what I mean?
no.
That's the
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't get.
No, not the pitch. Okay, within the four corners of
Walls.
the stadium, obviously within there, the legends are played, and I get that, and I totally get that. But that's where you create a new stadium and you get new legends. Produce new legends. You produce new
Create a
history.
new legacy.
Yeah, because rightly or wrongly, maybe the current legacy and the wars are too much for new players. Maybe that's why we're getting the performances that we are. Maybe move it to a new stadium. They may feel refreshed. They may feel, all those that monkeys off the shoulder as such. So they might start
It's a
again.
heavy badge to wear,
It's
the
going to be a heavy
Manchester United
badge.
badge.
Yeah, it's going to
It's
be heavy anyway. So,
the
but
managerial position is a different world.
Yep.
Then you factor in Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams. Without even those are three things I've mentioned. Without the millions of possibilities external to that, that's so much pressure as it is for a footballer.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
was it? I forget his name, but the goalkeeper when we beat Roma 7-1. I
Our
forget his name.
goalkeeper.
No, the AS Roma
Oh, I can't
goalkeeper at the
remember.
time. I
I
forgot
can't
his
remember.
name. But there's a story of basically, so we drew them the next year
Yeah.
in the groups. They came to us for their away fixture, our home fixture. On the day, the goalkeeper turned around to the manager and said, "I can't play here."
Oh, because of obviously the
The
year before.
flashbacks, the pressure that was on him from that night just overcame him. He's like, "I can't play."
Yeah, obviously, kind of past experiences, will count. But so I do think we should be a new stadium. But I think the question I asked, I think it was on Twitter, I asked it as well. I was like, who's paying for it? Who's
God
paying for
knows,
this new
mate.
stadium, man?
God knows. The
You
thing
know,
is, all these cost cuttings still aren't going to pay for a new stadium. Unless you're selling Rashford for 100 million, Amad for 150, Garnacho for 80, whatever, and then putting all of that money into a separate stadium savings account, let's call it, separate pocket, you're not touching the sides of a new stadium. It's just, it's
well,
bizarre.
I think we've countless amount of time we've always said, look, he obviously you're gonna get more debt or you're gonna get external investment. Obviously, external investment then means less profits because obviously you're gonna have to pay those investments and profits out to these people,
That may come in with
sponsorships and
naming
things like that.
rights, which may then
Look, naming
piss
rights
off some
fine.
people.
That's money in your pocket kind of thing. But we don't get naming rights at the moment. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not too fussed about that. Naming rights. I love it being called Old Trafford, and people will call it whatever they want to call it Old Trafford still. Even when
Well,
you've got
that's it. It's like the Tottenham Stadium, even though it's not officially White Hart Lane because the boundaries have moved slightly or whatever, to some fans it's probably still White Hart Lane because that's all they know. But they've not
yeah.
got a naming rights deal. And actually, that's one thing I'm surprised INEOS didn't do.
What's
They
that?
sponsored the seats, but they never sponsored the ground.
Yeah. Well.
That's genuinely just clicked in my head now. Like,
No, obviously the money that they would have asked for would have been loads of money,
yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? And I suppose it kind of works. Seats in a Grenadier, that's probably why as well. I don't know. But sponsorship deals, I get that, but it's going to be more than sponsorship deals that are going to need to pay for a two and a half,
just start a
3
GoFundMe.
billion. Yeah. I mean, look, you could do. The amount of fans that we've got, apparently, over 1 billion. So we could,
Wasn't
if
that
you
Thomas
put
Ziliakis' idea? We all chip in like a tenner or
or
something. We all buy the club.
it's not a bad idea. I think we should go back to it now, especially with the way things are at the moment. I don't think it sounds like a bad idea at all. But I think I want to know. I want to know who's paying for it because there's a lot of obviously money needed, and you know, we've questioned it a lot of times and said, oh, Jim should clear the debt. And then I think you have as well, and I always do. People coming, why should he pay for the debt? He's not majority owner. It's not his debt. Why
He's
should
got
we
no
pay for
legal
it? Do you know what I
obligation
mean?
to.
Exactly. No, he shouldn't, and that would be the stupidest thing to do.
That's like me buying 10% of your house and going, yeah, Hobbs, I'll clear the mortgage for you, mate.
I'll clear the mortgage for
Do
you.
you know what I mean? You're going to be like, yeah, buzzing sound.
Clearly, it makes no sense. However, do you know what I mean? This is where we go back to why did he invest? Only, it originally it was 25%. Obviously, which we'll come on to with his subsequent, investments. It's about 28.9% now,
I don't know.
which I'm gonna break down in a moment. Anyway,
I'm rounding it up to 30 because I don't understand how it works anymore. I think.
yeah, I'll kind of explain it. But and then people, people are saying, well, that's all he could get. That's all he could get. Well, he shouldn't have got anything. Again, it's. Hey, I don't like using the
That's
phrase.
all he could get, but according to Joe Ravitch, whose firm handled the negotiations process, Joe Ravitch said a full sale was the preferred option.
Yeah. I think in general financial terms, when strategic alternatives are spoken about, that kind of does translate to a sale, a full sale. That's what they want. Now we won't go into what happened and the timelines and all that because I think that's a bit boring. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the people who were involved and what happened. But if we just look up, obviously, what has happened, uh, people all say, well, Jim's having to cost cut because of the Glazer debt and the mismanagement and finances of the Glazers. Well, this was the whole point, Sherlock, is
Of the
because
strategic alternatives.
we all knew they were on the ropes. They couldn't afford to run the way things were, you know.
You know what I find really funny about that is when it happened, when it got announced that because it was on Thanksgiving and there's that video of Avram getting cut off just as he's about to go and have dinner and he gives the statement and he gives the interview. It was just after the Ronaldo Piers Morgan thing, right? And everyone was like, oh my god, Ronaldo's making them sell. Do you think Ronaldo's making them sell? They were selling because they were broke. They just needed good PR to repair the damage that Ronaldo did.
Yeah. They obviously were on the ropes and they needed money to be spent. Okay. Now we had them where we wanted them. If Jim Ratcliffe was an actual United fan, he would have known. Because don't forget, he'd said a year or two before that Man United are a bad investment. They're shocking in terms of the way they've been spending money and things all are so bad now just for a long time. So he fully well knew what was happening. Do you know what I mean? But he should have read the room and realised, well, hang on, the fans want the Glazers out. So he literally, quoting Amazon Prime documentaries, it was all or nothing.
Yeah.
That's literally, he could have had his documentary that he's been talking about. That would have been his documentary, all or nothing.
Do you reckon the reason Netflix or Amazon hasn't done a documentary on Man United is because the men at the top, i.e. the Glazers, forget Jim because he's only just come in recently, but the men at the top being the Glazers were too afraid to really show the world what was going on behind closed doors?
Probably, yeah.
In terms of the facilities, like
Yeah.
what Ronaldo said about the canteen and the swimming pool, and whereas you look at Spurs and City and Newcastle and whoever else had an all or
Arsenal.
nothing. Even some of the American ones, they're world class, man. The facilities they've got, and my final thoughts on the stadium is, I want to know where the money's coming from, but I also want to know where it's coming from. And by that, I don't mean sports washing or whatever. I mean, is it debt or is it cash? Are we loading up more loans? Or is Jim or INEOS pulling out a checkbook and then going, there you go, boys?
and
Do you know what I mean?
And that brings me nicely on to, because I think it was Kieran Maguire last week who kind of said, the INEOS, Jim Ratcliffe, are worse than the Glazers. And people are like, oh, how can they be worse than the Glazers? Jim Ratcliffe has put his own money in. The Glazers haven't done that, and there's a couple of people arguing with me on that. I'm like, guys, excuse me, how thick are you? Do you mean genuinely? How thick are you? Because
I'd love to know where he spent his money.
No. Look, looks behind the scenes. It was meant to be for infrastructure. I don't know exactly where it's gone. Obviously, they're saying £50 million was going to be on the training ground, Carrington. So I think there is apparently work going on there. I'm not seeing it, so I don't know.
After Jim was apparently looking at sites to buy up and turn into a new training ground.
the golf sites and all that business, yeah. But anyway, Afsal, so you were saying earlier you don't quite understand how it was roughly 30%. Okay, so I'll
It's 30, bro. It's like 29 points somewhat. Whatever.
28.9.
That's the one.
So what happened was in obviously December 2023 they agreed 25%.
Yeah, that was the initial deal.
That was the initial deal, which was 1.25 million pounds.
Yeah.
Billion pounds, sorry. 1.25 billion was for the 25%. Okay.
Hmm.
Then again I'll stay into pounds because that's what we're working in. Okay.
And that was done at $33 per share for X amount of shares at that point in time.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, which everybody talks about, then what Jim Ratcliffe said, I'm gonna spend another or I'm gonna invest another $300 million, so £238 million. And
Yeah.
that money is going to be spent on the infrastructure of the club. And that will be split in over two. So an initial 158.5 million will be injected into the club, and that's actually after the deal's been completed. So I think it got ratified in February. So
I think it
the
was around that point in time because I remember the first investment being quite quick.
yeah. So it was round about obviously when it got kind of completed, that 158.5 million was invested. Okay, and that went to the infrastructure. So part of that 50 million pounds that we're talking about the training stadium, Carrington, that would have gone from there, and whatever on other things. I don't know what it's gone on to. Okay, so by him doing that, it brought his percentage to 27.7%. That's
Yep.
where that 27.7 kept
Yep. I
coming
remember
from.
that figure.
Yep. So that's where that came from. And then in December last year, that final $100 million, which was around 79.2 million pounds, again exchange rates and all that business.
Which was
That's
the
where
80
that.
million of shares that was issued on Company's House
Yep.
that Kieran Maguire was talking about.
Kieran Maguire. Yep.
Yeah.
So that then brought his stake up to 28.9%. So that's why, from the original 25%, which he paid 1.25 billion pounds for, then went from 25% to 28.9% because of the extra 238 million pounds that he spent, that he gave to the club over two stages there. Okay, so when people are saying Jim Ratcliffe put his own money into the club, okay, now I don't know whether that's Jim Ratcliffe or whether that's INEOS or however it's gone, okay, but soon as it goes into the club and he gets equity for that, that's no longer just Jim Ratcliffe's money that's gone into the club. That is the Glazers, who are the majority shareholders, and obviously the other shareholders that
Hi.
involved. Yeah, well done you.
I also have some shares.
So you, Afsal, and the Glazers have put that money into the stadium, because what people don't realise is if it's not money in your pocket and it should be coming to you, well then you've put it somewhere else, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's into those infrastructure. Now, what people don't realize is if he'd agreed the 1.25 billion for the 25%, and then he invested the 238 million pounds and got no equity from the club, but he just says, right, here you go, Man United, here's 238 million.
That's earmarked for Carrington. That's earmarked for player transfers. That's earmarked for
Well, what are the infrastructure?
whatever.
The cleaning the um credit facility or whatever. That I think a lot of it was on the clearing the facility, the
Yeah, I
debt
think his
facility,
first payment cleared off the revolving credit
the revolving
facility.
credit facility. I think that's where it went to, and 50 million onto Carrington. So then I would say yes, he spent his own money in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to start clipping this up. We're going to remember the timelines, because when people don't understand, okay, when they said, oh, he spent 300 million of his own money in and he's done
Just
something that the
repost the same
Glazers haven't
clip
done,
over and over again.
I'm just going to post it. So here you go. Okay.
But the thing is, as well, right? The other thing that gets me about he hasn't spent his own money is the transfers that were done this summer. The guys that are now apparently for sale. If the right offer comes in, then boys, all that money was from the revolving credit facility.
Mm.
So that was just an equity line United already had. They just tapped into that.
Or
But
a lot of it's IOUs as well, because obviously we
yeah,
owe around about 300 and something million, is it, or
I think
200
it's
something?
400. Transfer debt's about 400.
I can't remember exactly. We owe quite a lot on the
But
transfer, so
I know
a
Inter
lot of
Milan still
IOUs.
owes money for Lukaku.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, we still owe IOUs as well. We still need money back as well. So yeah, so I think hopefully that kills that myth that he's put money in. Okay. Um. So
It
yeah,
won't, but
yeah, I don't think he will. But look, obviously, like I said, we'll try and clip it up, or we'll give at least timelines, timestamps, should I say, and people can start listening to it. But yeah, wrapping up. Obviously, we got a game against Brighton on Sunday.
yeah, man, I'm just.
Go on, your thoughts. What's your predictions?
My prediction is our friend Stuart is going to have a brilliant day at that game. That's my prediction. Because
I think
I
yeah,
can't be positive after what I saw the other night. I can't
yesterday.
be.
Yeah, although we won, it wasn't convincing, and I think if I mean, by the way, I forgot to mention Soleimani. Wow, what a player for Southampton yesterday on the
Jason
left wing.
Wilcox signing.
Yep.
Another kid who had a good night was Taylor Harwood Bellis at
Yeah, and
Man
centre
City
back.
Academy.
Yeah. I
Also a Wilcox signing.
yeah. I mean, I want that Dibbling kid. I
Oh,
mean,
he's
I,
class.
I've stopped kind of saying the players that I want because no matter who comes, they're not going to perform,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I
Dibbling's
still,
class.
that's still that inner, the younger version of me who used to be so, positive about the club and what happens.
You're still young, bro. You're still young. Don't worry.
Yeah,
You're still young.
that's why I said younger. I didn't say young. Um, yeah, that's why I think I'd love him there. And I think if we are going to get rid of the likes of Garnacho and Rashford from our left wing, I think that kid Soleimani would be a great signing. It gives me Sadio Mane vibes. I always remember when we used to play Southampton when he was in that team. He used to rip us up.
He was a
Uh,
nightmare to play against.
exactly. So, but having said that, I can see him going somewhere like Liverpool, because they probably could get rid of Nunez and you know. But yeah, sorry, we digress. But yeah, Brighton. I think Brighton are a different kettle of fish to the likes of Southampton. I'll put them in that bracket of they're not the top six,
Where
but
are they?
they're I think they're
Ninth
ninth,
currently.
ninth. Yeah, but they're in that bracket whereby as a team they're better than us functionally.
Yeah,
I mean,
5 points ahead.
as individuals, you know, on paper, no, you couldn't say that, especially values and what they've come in for and things like that. But as a collective, I think
And it's
they're
at
better than
home.
us. Oh, yeah, and it's at Old Trafford as well. So I'll give my prediction first. So I think we'll lose. Sounds like a common theme at the present moment in time. I think we'll lose.
For fuck's sake, man.
Um,
You better be the positive one.
yeah, exactly. Thanks, man. Thanks, Jim Ratcliffe, INEOS. Look what you've done to me. Even the Glazers weren't that bad. So yeah, you are worse than the Glazers. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a loss. I think it might be a 3-1 loss for us. Your prediction? You saying you think you're gonna have to be positive now because I've gone negative?
You know what? It's
Go
going to
on
be a
now. Go.
2-all draw.
Oh bloody hell! It's gonna be a Desmond.
D Welbs is going to score.
Who? Danny Welbeck. Has he been
Well,
playing?
I don't know, but he always seems to play well against us. He's going to score, and Ahmad's going to score.
Yeah, of course he's gonna score, man. He always scores. Okay,
You know what?
so
Forget Victor Gyökeres, forget Benjamin Sesko, forget Haaland, and all these. We've got Amad Diallo, bro.
yeah.
That's all I'm happy about. I know I slated him for signing the new contract. I still do believe he should have left
Yeah.
for the benefit of his own career, but hey, I'll enjoy the goals while they come.
Yeah, man, like 2030, obviously we're happy deep down, but I think, as a as a guardian angel or whatever you want to call it, or as a as a parent or whatever you say, you want the best for an individual person. You think to yourself, why did you do that? But fair enough. Look, I'm happy. Obviously without his goals yesterday, we wouldn't have been where we are. But yeah, I think let's see how the weekend goes. Again, Man United being Man United, there's plenty of other dramas coming into the Devil's Theatre that'll happen, and we'll discuss. So again, thank you for everybody listening. Again, please subscribe, like, and share the video. It always helps. Um, bringing more people on and listening and sharing your views, because it's always great to converse with people and share your views on that as
And
well, mate.
thank you to new subscribers because that's been jumping a bit recently as well. So welcome to the theatre. Thank you. And, keep sharing, liking, commenting, everything Harp's just said. And I don't know, we'll see you Monday.
See you Monday or Tuesday, maybe
Yeah.
Wednesday. Cheers all. Thank you.